guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Aisha. I'm a certified trauma-informed coach, and I am on a mission to help 1 million women become their most confident and successful selves with the use of law of assumption. If you're not yet subscribed, hit the button and tap the bell icon to be notified so you never miss out on powerful tips, inspiring stories, and essential guidance so that you too can create the life of your dreams. Let's get into today's video. This is actually part 2 of the Is Manifestation Shirk content that I'm creating to really clear up whether manifestation goes against Islam, whether it goes against Christianity or any other belief system where you hold God as the one and only source of all things. So I want to start by sharing this quote from a poet named Rumi. Very well-renowned poet for good reason. A lot of the poems that I've read from Rumi have really touched me on a personal level. They're very spiritual, they're very deep. And this one is so perfect for today's lesson. So obviously the topic of today's video is, are you God? Because a lot of times in law of assumption, we hear people say, I am God. Now, I have my own perspective on this in terms of how I reconcile my faith with law of assumption. And this quote really sums that up. It says, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." And when we conceptualize that, what Rumi is really saying here is it's not that you're just this one small piece of the ocean and that you are part of the ocean, contained within the ocean as one drop. It's that the essence of the entire ocean is within you as that one drop. Now, let me conceptualize this for you. Human beings are vessels. We have a meat suit, right? We have flesh. Our flesh is not who we are. Our flesh is not even what we are. Our flesh merely is a vessel or a container that carries us through our life experience. And this is why before we come here, we don't exist. We get poured into a vessel, we exist in that vessel, and when we leave this world, we continue to exist after. That is my belief. If you believe in souls, many people, many cultures, many religions believe in souls. That's the concept, is that this is a container. It's a vessel for your soul. It's holding your soul. Much like this glass of water, okay? So the vessel, the flesh, would be the glass here. It's a container. It's able to hold fluids, and in this case, it's holding water. Now, the water in this analogy represents God, the power of God, the energy of God, the ultimate creator, the one who has made all of this possible, the one who commanded this world to be so, commanded your physical presence here to be so, commanded everything we know in existence to be so. And within our human vessel, our container, the water is our spirit. It's our soul. And our soul comes directly from God. Our soul was made, and we were put into this human experience to live as God, as ourselves, if that makes sense. So we, in a way, like, remember when you were a kid, if you had toys, you would make your toys talk to each other. You would make them play with each other. You would make them interact. You are not your toys, and your toys are not you, but your consciousness is the reason that those toys are alive and moving and interacting the way that they do. In the same way, we are not God. God is not us, but through us, God is acting out as a human being, creating these experiences, which is why we have this connection and power to create our own experiences. We call it free will. That is generally the term that we use to describe as being able to direct our focus, being able to control our behavior, being able to decide whether or not we even believe in God, whether we have faith or not. All of this ultimately comes to God's consciousness that he placed within us. Everything beyond just human consciousness is an expression of God. I truly believe that down to the atom, down to the protons and neutrons and electrons and quarks and strings within the quarks, all the way down to the smallest material that we can measure as human beings, and even smaller because our limited human experience is in fact limited. But if we go as small as possible, and if we go as big and as vast as possible, we have our own planet, our solar system, our galaxy, our universe. It's all part of our Creator's creation. It's all moving the way that He dictates it moves. It's all Him playing with these components, moving things around, recognizing different energies and creating a push and pull between them. He is the reason the sun comes up and goes down, the reason the moon comes up and goes down. He is the reason that the tides are moved from the moon's essence every night. He is the reason for storms and rain and clouds and the formation of mountains. He is everything. He is everything, and He is creating everything, and He is moving everything the way that He has designed it to be. Now, the special thing about human beings is because we've been given a consciousness, an awareness of self, and because we've been given free will, we have been given these powers, these abilities to control our own experience in this life. But simultaneously, it's not us. We think it's us. We perceive it to be us, but it's really God moving through us. And the foundation of Islam is submission. And what are we submitting to? We are submitting to consciousness. We are submitting to the fact that consciousness rules everything. We don't get to really control our consciousness. We get to direct it, but you can't stop your thoughts. You can't just decide to hold your breath and stop breathing without facilitating that in some other way. You can't just stop eating without massive consequence. Your body will start to scream at you. So we are living an existence of submission. And what we're submitting to is our consciousness. Think about it. As soon as you become thirsty, the thirst will bother you and it'll remind you, and it'll be very strong in your awareness until you quench it. And the same goes for hunger. How long can you go without eating before your body is just like, hey, you can't ignore this. You are so conscious and so aware of the feeling of hunger. And the purpose of hunger is to sustain your vessel. So you can't just ignore it. You can't shut it down. Of course, there are extreme cases where people are able to use their mind to do amazing, incredible things. And this is because our mind is the way that we access God, the way that we access the power of God. So yes, you can prolong going to, drink water to hydrate yourself. You can prolong eating. And in Islam, we do this regularly. It is one of the pillars of Islam to fast. But there is a point in time where you can't hold off on that anymore. You are a slave to your vessel. And just like the thoughts, you can't stop the thoughts from coming, even if you try. There are people like monks and people who choose to devote themselves to meditation, but what they're doing is observing their thoughts. They are not stopping them. It's not possible to stop your consciousness from going and going and going and going and going, which means we are a slave to our own consciousness. And I know a lot of people, when they read the Quran, and especially the English translation of it, slave sounds really harsh. It sounds really heavy. It sounds like, oh, I don't like the idea of being a slave. But the truth is, you already are, whether you like it or not. You are a slave to your thirst. You are a slave to your hunger. You are a slave to the calls of nature, going to the restroom. You are a slave to illness when your body is in an infected state. You are a slave to sleep when you are exhausted. You in this human vessel are unfortunately a slave to those signals. Not only that, outside of your own vessel's operating system, you are a slave to the laws of nature and this world. You don't get to decide that gravity doesn't apply to you. You don't get to decide that nighttime isn't going to come just because you don't want it to be nighttime. There are certain rules and laws of physics and, again, nature expressing itself that you as a human being don't get to control. To me, all of this suggests that there is a God that exists outside of us. And I know a lot of people coming from law of assumption, especially being misled by teachers who don't understand God or don't believe in God, they want you to be convinced that you are the only power, that you are the only one in control. But if that were the case, you would know what color my socks were. You would know what I had for breakfast this morning. You'd be able to read my thoughts before I share them with you. But you don't. You only know what you can perceive about me because you're only one human. And again, that vessel, that container, has a start and a finish. Where the glass stops, the air around it begins. And so no matter how much you want to claim that you're God, you're just not. And I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want all that weight on my shoulders. I wouldn't want to be the one having to orchestrate all of this. I wouldn't want the responsibility of whose prayers get answered at one time and how to facilitate on that. That is too much for my one human brain to handle. So instead, I'm grateful for the fact that I have God power within my own reality, within my own experience. That doesn't mean that I am God of all things. That doesn't mean that I'm the only one in control. It means that I have been given free will to exercise self-discipline, to direct my thoughts, to sustain my body, to listen and navigate my emotions, and to choose certain behaviors that will help me to achieve the things I want to achieve in this life. And so I'm very comfortable with my position in this world. I'm very comfortable with the responsibility that I've been given over my own body and the dominion I've been given over my life. I don't need any more. I don't wish to be God. Now, if you're still not quite understanding, I know that this can be a deeper topic and really nobody out there is having a discussion like this. But let me put it this way. God has made several creations. God has made creations that don't have a brain and can't think for themselves. God has made creations that have a brain, but the brain is so animalistic that its only concern is survival. And so it doesn't really have the same expression or free will that human beings do. And then we also have angels. And angels were not given free will. They don't have the option or opportunity to say no. They are purely obedient. That was by design. And then we, of course, have jinn, which do have free will, but they tend to be different from human beings in terms of what they desire and how they operate and how they move through the world and what they have access to. But on a human level, when we were created, we were given dominion over our lives. We were made in the homage of God. Not the image, the physical representation, but the homage of God, which homage means like we are honoring God, because the most special part of a human being is that free will factor. And it makes sense. If God can create everything and everything can worship him based on him making it so, he seems to have made human beings so that we choose to worship. We are choosing him. And if you think about it, an animal who you are providing for, like a pet, it's not really choosing to love you. Yes, we can get into like dogs and cats that have a little bit more of a developed understanding. They're a little bit more conscious than something like, a bug or an insect, right? But those things, they're not choosing to love you. They are choosing to survive. And you happen to be a component in their survival. So they're unable to really make a choice. It's not really a choice. It's like, am I going to eat from your hand or am I not? It's not really a choice for them. They're not really acting upon or acting out of free will. Whereas a human being, as we move through life, we can choose to give credit to God or not to give credit. And think about how much more special it is to receive love from a conscious being. Think about how special it is for someone to choose to love you, even in your imperfections. Think about this, like when you have parents who love you unconditionally, when you have siblings or friends who show up for you through the good times and the bad times, when you have people in your life who choose to continue being attached to you, whether you make mistakes or not. It feels so good to receive love from those people. And why is that? Because they don't have to give you love. They don't have to be appreciative of you. They don't have to give you credit for when you do something good for them. They're choosing to. And so one of the biggest things that we can do to be grateful and to have a good, healthy, happy, balanced life, and in fact, to bring in our manifestations much quicker, is when we credit God with everything. Whether it is good, whether it is bad, we thank Him because we're trusting the process. And this is something we talk about a lot in manifestation, is trusting the process. And why? Why don't you need to know the how to manifest? Why can you just say, oh, I want something, and let it appear? Because you're not the one doing it. You are not the one who put the idea in somebody else's head and made them take action to go to the store and buy you a gift, and then that person gives you the gift and it's exactly what you were wishing for or praying for or hoping for. You didn't do that. God did that for you. This is why no matter what it is that you desire, you don't have to know the how. And it's something that the non-religious and non-believing manifestors and law of assumption teachers just completely ignore. They all tell you you don't have to know the how, but none of them are explaining why you don't have to know the how. The reason you don't have to know the how is because God is the how. He's the one moving everybody around, arranging things. He's the one making sure that if you're supposed to meet your specific person, that you are both in the right place at the right time, you both say the right things, act the right way, and He puts you together. He's the one arranging that. And so the more you lean into your faith, the more that you credit God, the more that you trust, okay, that once you affirm what you desire, He's already set the pieces in motion. He's already working on it. He's changing the hearts of people. He's directing their thoughts. This is why we know He's working through us. We are a channel. We are a vessel that contains God energy. That doesn't make us God. That makes us a drop in the ocean. Therefore, the ocean is in that little drop. So all of God's mightiness and grace and love and compassion, every characteristic, all of the 99 names that God is for us, that Allah is for us, are contained within us as humans. We have access to all of it. But we're not the ones arranging the whole story. We're not the ones acting behind the scenes, making sure everything happens. Our job is to be God of our reality. Our job is to have dominion over ourselves. Our job is to direct ourselves. And that's all you have to know when it comes to manifesting. So let me remind you that you do have that power within you. You do get to make conscious decisions. You do get to direct your behaviors. And I highly encourage you to be grateful for all the ups and downs, for when it doesn't look like it's working, because how would you know? How would you know that God isn't answering your prayer for you? If you think He isn't, He isn't. But if you believe that He is, if you hold the faith, if you know your Lord to be merciful, if you know Him to be kind, and if you believe yourself deserving of it, He will find a way. Because all He desires is for you to give Him credit and grow closer to Him. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I love to share my perspective on both Islam and manifestation. This has helped my life so profoundly, and in the last 2 years, I've been able to manifest significant weight loss, changes in my health, improvements in my relationship. I met my specific person. I married him. We are moving forward through life together. I'm grateful for every moment of that. I have also grown closer to my siblings and family. I have met the most beautiful friends and these women who are just such incredible human beings, and they also share their beliefs with me, which helps me to expand and helps me to be a more grateful and excited person. And more, I'm infusing that good, positive energy into my business to elevate the collective, to bring everyone closer to God, to bring everyone closer to their desires so that they can be happy and grateful. Because in my heart of hearts, I truly believe if we are all living our best life, we will all be in peace. We have that option available to us. It's just that we all have to choose it consciously, day in and day out, to create that reality. So thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.